odds favor Ali in this fight 6-5, if you can imagine. If ever there was a chance to make a score, you had to run to Las Vegas, which I did with my friend, and every time we could put together and put it all on Larry Holmes. Is that like taking the Saudi blood money, though, Lubie? You had to watch one of your idols all time just take an unbelievably ugly beating, and you're yelling in the corner because you have money on it. Come on, Larry! Knock him out! Money is at the root of all evil.
That's pretty
especially
evil.
when it comes to imagine that. You're rooting for Ali to get, I mean, well, you were just screaming, step in and stop it, ref, it's a killing.
All right, you weren't saying that. You were saying knock his old ass out.
Nah, we didn't need that. That was the biggest gimme I've ever seen in my lifetime, right? And it's always good to be right in those situations.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very special good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on a Degenerate Friday on the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest and one Mike Lubie Lubitz. Lubie and I have already messed up one task that we had today, as total miscommunication between the two of us had us both sitting at our computers, cameras running at 6:30 in the morning, trying to tape our edition of Defo on 5 for the 5 Reasons Sports Network, which we do before the show, and we've been doing it pretty much daily, although Lubie kind of punked out under the, it's going to be real late, man, that Heat game the night before. Is it the lack of capital that's coming in on that particular project so far that's limiting your enthusiasm down to, well, if we could blow it off, let's do it?
Yes.
We don't want to do that, though, Lubie. I mean, the only way to get something off the ground is to be dedicated and do it every day. Anyway, we messed up this morning. So here we are on a Degenerate Friday. Maybe a good start, because we would have led you down a very sordid path had you followed our advice yesterday, which I don't know that we gave this out as advice, Lubie. I don't really want to take the hit on this, do you?
No.
I'm not sure that we ever said, oh, hey, listen, people, if you want to make some money, go bet all 3 dogs, a 3-dog night in the NBA playoffs last night. And guess what? You would have lost every game.
Well, what did this get to? Okay, now, actually, the one game I did say, okay, I could see a dog winning was the game that obviously once Kawhi was out after. Remember, Kawhi was playing when we did our show. So,
yes.
Most people would have changed.
Now that line had to change dramatically because
that's what I'm saying. I think that game, that game was a cover. One of the dogs did win because even though your boy Devin Booker played out of his mind.
How much more of Devin Booker can you take, Lubie, without just deciding to go, and pop a cyanide cap?
Make me sick
for having maybe one of the worst opinions in the history of all sports. Although you were not alone, because obviously a lot of teams felt the same way. And we keep asking that question: what are these pro scouts looking at? Now, every now and then you might be able to spot something somebody else doesn't. But how could they have not seen this? I know he played, a limited action. He was like the 7th man on that team. He was the 7th guy drafted on that Kentucky team, Devin Booker. But how could you not see that he had more potential than most of the guys that were drafted ahead of him? That's the tough part. And some stiffs, even from his own team. Was Cauley Stein taken ahead of Devin Booker?
Cauley Stein was like a 2nd overall pick.
Oh, my God.
I think he was definitely top 5.
What are these people looking at? How do they pay people? We really missed out, Lubie. We should have just gone into being professional scouts, right? Never mind talking about this shit all day. We could have, and that one fine would have been enough. It would have been like that guy, the guy Mike Brito. Does that name ring a bell to you? Yes, Mike Brito? Yes. It's a guy that's behind, I don't know. He might have checked out because I haven't seen him for a while. Did he go the way of Larry King? He's no longer behind home plate at Dodger games.
I don't know.
Mary Hart's still around, right? I mean, she's still showing off those $1 million insured legs at the games. And don't you dig that when a celebrity that you would think is very unlikely to be like a giant baseball fan?
Mike Brito died 9 months ago. 10 months ago, he died in July of 2020.
There you go.
You're close.
You don't see the fedora and the jugs gun. Now, he had that job for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
Only because of what? Because he was the guy that saw Fernando Valenzuela and said, listen, kid, we're going to fudge your birth certificate. You're only 15. Right out of bananas. Got signed by the Dodgers. The rest is history. Fernando Mania. And Fernando, who you have to give him credit, right? He spoke no Anglais, right? When was doing that tour. He had to have an interpreter for everything, and every now and then he would smile, and you thought maybe he understood a little bit of English, but really didn't. And now it's like an executive or something with the Dodgers, and I think is doing like international talk shows in English. Fernando Valenzuela, but Brito found a guy somewhere in some sandlot in Mexico. And because of that, he kind of had himself in a situation where the Dodgers said, what exactly is it that you want to do with the team? And he sat there behind home plate with that jugs gun forever, right? The guy with the fedora. Was he smoking a cigar too? Because he had to be laughing all the way to the bank on that one. Anyway, at least he found one guy, right? We could have been responsible if we were an NBA executive. Imagine the shock that would have been created in that particular NBA draft. Well, the team is taking Willie Cauley-Stein, who did what as an NBA player? Would you say squadooch is a good word to describe it? Nothing?
Cauley-Stein did nothing. I guess he's in the league somewhere, but I couldn't tell
Is he?
you.
Is he still around? I wouldn't know. Willie Cauley-Stein.
I couldn't tell you.
I always dig guys with the hyphenated names, much like what was it? Was it Jimmy Valvano that said that? Who was the basketball coach that said you always have to watch? Oh, that was Al McGuire.
He's on the Rockets, so
he's still in the league. Willie Cauley-Stein.
He was athletic and he could rebound, so you usually find if you're willing to work, you're willing to usually find some kind of a home.
But if you took him a number 2, and then watch Devin Booker fall to number 13 with the way that he's playing so far in this series. Devin Booker, in spite of the presence, maybe because of the presence of Kevin Durant, is he getting even more wide open shots because Kevin Durant's on the floor? I watched some of that game last night. It was a good ball game. And then I saw Kawhi in street clothes, and I thought, how is this even close?
Well, that's what I don't get is how is it a game like with Kawhi or Paul George? Like that's amazing that the Clippers were with
that. Often happens though, Lubie. How often do we see it? Well, look what happened with the Bucks.
Yeah.
No Antetokounmpo and the Scribinis come out there, and all of a sudden you didn't even know guys that weren't even listed on the roster are scoring 28 points. It's great. I love when that happens. It's one of my favorite sporting situations. All right, we have a lot of things to get into. Of course, you have the Panthers in action tonight. I was just thinking about how the average family of 4 can enjoy themselves at a hockey game. All right, now the cheapest nosebleed seats I saw online were $100. I would imagine are tickets sold out except for the secondary market? You would think that this game was a sellout, no?
Yeah, look, as much as our friend Brian likes to have this argument that I don't understand how he sucks me into it every time. And I genuinely do not care
because there's really no great answer to that argument.
Well, it's a subject. There's no facts, bud. It's literally an opinionated argument. There's no. It's totally 100% subjective. So,
as a guy who loves South Florida, though, and has covered South Florida teams now for 42 years, I would have to say that Brian Schwartz has his point. I mean, it's true. The sports fans here are not the same as they are in other areas. That's just a fact.
I've never disagreed. You said I never knew how to say it until I met you, and you said it right. South Florida is a strange sports market.
Very strange. Yes.
Just the idea of we're good fans and you're bad fans. I think that's dumb.
No, we have good fans here. We just don't have a lot of them.
But I just think fans are different.
For the teams, for the individual teams.
I just think if you're an area that's had teams for over 100 years, it's not fair to compare to a city that's had teams for 50 years or less.
Right. I mean, the Maple Leafs have a tradition that is unlike anything that we could ever hope to develop here with the Florida Panthers, in spite of the fact that you would think the town would be going wild tonight.
And that's what I'm going to say is the one team they seem to never support, but when they get to the playoffs, support because of where they are.
Yeah.
West Palm Beach and Broward fans support the Panthers. Like if the Panthers make the playoffs.
Because you can get to the arena within a reasonable amount of time. And you don't have to schlep into Dade County there, going south on 95 at a time where it's completely prohibitive to even think about getting in your car. Never mind whether or not you can find gas, which I did, by the way, very easily. I mean, for those around the country, probably unaware that there would actually be like a gas problem. It's not a shortage. It's just that they were holding out at the port, right?
Yeah. Yesterday is when you could see it because I went around and yesterday finally it had subsided and gas.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. I rolled right up to the pump at the station I went to and paid $3.59 a gallon. And they were at a premium, which is fine with me because my car doesn't need it. And that was that. And I was thinking, geez, because I was down to enough of a low point in the gas tank, gauge, on a gas tank gauge to think my drive to Gulfstream Park later today might be in jeopardy.
Yeah.
And then that's the last time you want to have to be going searching for gas. Remember when we had the gas shortage? After one of the hurricanes,
Yes.
and
It
it was
was like a few
impossible to
years
find
ago.
gas.
That sucked.
Yeah, and you're driving and you're thinking, "Oh, good, look at that! There are a bunch of cars there. I'm just going to get in line," and then you realize the place is closed. They're just waiting for the truck to come to. It's like my parents when they were dealing antiques. They were always the first people there. They'd be covered in blankets, sitting in the car there, drinking coffee at 4 a.m. to be the first people when the show opened up. They wanted to run right in and get like the bargains before anybody even knew what was happening there. Same thing. I mean, people are waiting for gas deliveries, although that seemed to have subsided. No.
Yes.
No. All right, because I didn't have any problem with it. I'm looking forward to going to the track later on today. But getting back to this whole Panther thing, so I see tickets online for $100. I'm thinking, okay, well, what a great experience it would be for a kid, a young kid to go to a game. The family of four. So the family of four going to tonight's Panther game. Cheapest nosebleed ticket was like $100. So that's $400 out the window. It's going to cost you. Did they juice the parking for the playoffs? You would think that might even be some obnoxious.
I park at Sawgrass. I don't mind walking. It's like
Oh yeah, you do that? Okay.
I hate advertising it, but I'm not the only one. And they can't.
No, there's a giant trek going on. It looks like you're going to the border there, somewhere outside of El Paso.
I mean, the mall / the movie theater / the restaurants are open till into the night.
Yeah.
So you can just say you're parking for that. I don't mind walking a little bit. Like when I get older, I'm sure I'd pay
They encourage you to park illegally. They do. I mean, they're like waving you in. I remember, one time I'm driving up that way and I had a Lexus, so I was able to park for free in the Lexus parking lot, which was great. I mean, and I didn't realize it would almost be worth buying a Lexus
exactly
if you were a season ticket holder, just so you could avoid having to pay that charge. No.
Yep.
35 a game for 40 games. Well, what is that? Like $1,200?
Yeah, it's over $1,000.
Just lease a Lexus for the year.
Honestly.
So yeah, and I remember that they were waving you into the illegal parking when they were directing traffic coming into the arena. If you were driving some car that wasn't able to roll into that lot for free, that they were actually waving you into the Sawgrass. I'm like, who does that? Only in South. This is a weird area for sports.
Weird. I'm not
never see that anywhere except here.
It's very strange.
Where they're guiding you, the police are guiding you into illegal parking situations. So you can park on somebody else's property, take up their spaces, so they can't do any business, so that people can go and watch a hockey game and dodge paying. At the time, it was only like I remember paying either 10 or $20 in the original stages of the arena out there at Sunrise, which is South Florida Live Arena.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, so $400 for the tickets. 35. Let's say it's 35 to park. That's $435.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to blow at least a stick at the concession stands, and God forbid that you should be directed into. And I think they do this as a matter of routine now. Do they not guide you into the front gate there, straight through Pantherland or whatever that is, the Panther souvenir shop? Where, I mean, the prices are worse than they are at the shops at the Bellagio that I've mentioned a few times.
Their arenas, that's why it's not a conflict anyways, because it's nothing to do with what we do. But their arena is called Florida Live.
Florida Live.
Okay. Florida Live Arena. It's not the same thing as ours. It's Florida.
Right, because you may as well be in Jacksonville at that point. I mean, there's nothing specific about that. Wayne wanted it that way, right? He wanted all his teams to be named generically as if we represented the state, which we don't.
No, we don't. They don't give a shit.
We are distinctively different here in South Florida than anybody else in this cracker-based state.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're offending anybody, I don't know. Well, where do we draw the line there? Where's the Mendoza line? Is it just north of Palm Beach?
Palm Beach, yeah, that's what I say. Palm Beach,
and then that's it, man. It's hillbilly land. You're hearing jungle birds flying around there because you're in the wilderness of humanity. It's unbelievable. Look what's going on here in this state. I don't even want to, dive into it. I mean, it's almost it's so atrocious. It's become comical, has it not? Where, they're telling everybody to carry a gun, but, God forbid some guy should say the word gay. even the guy that is a gay representative, voted, with DeSantis on this thing. What has the world come to? It's just crazy. All right, so it costs you about 6 sticks, I would say.
Yes.
to take a family of 4 to tonight's Panther game. Would you ever consider doing that, Mike Lubie Lubitz? No matter how much money you had.
Oh no, and I mean if we're doing the no matter how much money I had,
No,
yeah,
I guess if it was no issue, money,
yeah,
then
I would.
who
It's
cares, right? It's like paying
fun.
$60. Yeah.
Panther playoff games. I haven't been to a playoff game for the other teams. Well, I guess I went to the Heat a few years ago, but Panther playoff games are a blast, and the place is packed, and
Crowd is good. Yeah.
and
People
it's
get
not
into it.
the road team. I would say the home team actually out fans them by like 75-80%.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about with the Boston Bruins in town.
I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
have to see. I didn't win the Devils series, and we have a strong Devils contingent, and it was very Panther when I went to that playoff series.
Back in the day in '96, though, when they played the Bruins, it was a heavy, Panther
yeah?
crowd.
Okay.
It was. I don't know. I mean,
Panther.
the Boston teams were always popular here, but yeah, back then, I mean, and I remember being a part of that because everybody was going. They were trying to get under the skin of the goalie Barrasso,
Yes. Good for you.
and everybody was going Barrasso because he did that weird thing where he skated back and forth from not just in front of the pipes there, but from like one side of the rink to the other. He would, just traverse the entire goal line there. And as he was doing that, everybody be giving him the business. Barrasso. And it became a thing. So it was very derisive towards the Boston team, the crowd at those Panther games, which, we had a bunch of misfits and upstarts.
Yep.
And here we are going against the Bruins, and then they knocked off the Flyers that year. And the final series was against Pittsburgh.
Penguins, and then
Yeah.
it was like a murderer's row. It was ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, Boston, Philadelphia, and the Penguins knocked them all off to get to the finals, where the Avalanche was awaiting them, unfortunately, with Patrick Waugh, that smelly frog. But anyway, so tonight, the Cats and the Bruins, what do you think? So far, you've been far more accurate on this than I have been, and then Drake, the rapper Drake, has been. There was a story that Drake blew $150,000 on 2 parlays,
The Heat.
both of which were contingent on the Bruins beating the Panthers in Game 2 of their series. So the thing was up in smoke before he even got to most of the late games. He had one parlay of the Grizzlies, who did win, the Bruins, who lost, the Heat, who lost, and the Nuggets, who won. And then he had another one, and they totaled out to 150 in terms of 150,000. He had the Lakers, who lost, the Bruins, who lost, the Bucks, who won, Denver, and Edmonton. So he won 3 out of 5 there. But he blew $150,000, and that paled in comparison to the amount of money he lost when Jake Paul lost to Tommy Fury, the brother of Tyson Fury, or like half brother of Tyson Fury. He's some kind of brother of Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
Tommy Fury, who is a relatively undistinguished boxer, although he may have had an unbeaten record, but I'm not sure. I don't even know if he beat Tijuana cab drivers. As they asserted that Julio Cesar Chavez bloated his record with. That was a great quote by the former lightweight champion Greg Haugen. But $400K on Jake Paul, who ended up losing a decision. He was he had $400,000 that Paul would score a knockout.
He was the first dude he fought that was actually experienced in that sport. He just kept fighting. Every guy he's fought was a reformed boxer.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, he had like UFC guys, professional wrestlers. He was fighting circus clowns.
Box, that's what it is. Yeah, he would box reformed MMA guys.
Yeah.
He was doing the. Okay, yeah. I hope you win.
He was fighting people he could beat. He was doing what my good friend Tommy Torino, two-ton Tommy Torino would do with Hacky Reitman, the fighting physician, right? He would comb through the books there in his office and go, just like in the Rocky movie, and say, "The Italian Stallion." And he was just trying to find guys that this guy possibly, not necessarily could beat, but wouldn't get killed by.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, these were handpicked. That's for sure. So Drake is going bad on a Degenerate Friday. This guy is colder than I was the last couple of weeks before I finally had a winning day last Saturday at the track. Looking forward to continuing that trend today, by the way, Mike Lubie Lubitz. Cats or Bruins, who are you betting on tonight? You're getting odds with the Panthers at home. Getting a decent price. What do you think? Would you take a shot?
For their chalk, I would say the Panthers tonight. I think they split it. So whatever.
You're getting plus 130 with the Panthers as a home dog.
Yeah, and then I would take the Panthers. I think the Panthers will win one, and the Bruins will win one. I see this going 6. I see the Bruins winning this series in 6. I would think the Panthers are going to win one at home. Why not now? You came off a good showing. It's a Friday night, so you should get really good fan support. They always play pretty well at home. I'd say Panthers tonight, and then do they play Sunday? And I would say the Bruins Sunday.
Panthers tonight, Bruins on Sunday. Okay, I mean, that could make some sense. It's interesting because the one series and it goes game to game, doesn't it? I mean,
Yes.
it's like the week to week stuff that you get in the NFL, where you have a week
Yes.
to stew over a loss and maybe overinflate your opinion of your team if they happen to win a game by a single point, which we did a lot of last year.
Yes.
With the Miami Dolphins, although they were looking really good for a long period of time. I was unaware of this. I mean, how scant the pickings will be for the Dolphins in the draft. There was a story about Chris Greer getting phone calls from teams that may want to trade out of the first round and deal their first round pick to the Dolphins. So late first round pick, maybe going to the Dolphins instead of them sitting it out. They only have 4 draft picks in the draft. Imagine this. What bullshit were they feeding us a few years ago when they said, how we're going to build a team the right way? So meanwhile, they lost their 2 first-round picks. One they traded for Bradley Chubb. Was that worth it? What do you think,
We'll
Bradley
see.
Chubb?
Bradley Chubb's a future thing. I didn't expect much from this year. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what he can do with Fangio. Fangio knows.
Paid him a lot of money too, right after that.
Yes,
I mean,
they
they gave
did.
him a ton of cash.
I'm gonna make that what is it when in school when you an incomplete? I'm gonna give that an incomplete, not a grade.
That was my favorite grade to get, INC. This way you hadn't passed, but you hadn't failed.
That's what
It's
Chubb.
a hung jury. They're hanging in a balance there.
This is the year where all the moves come to fruition. But yes, they lost 1 pick to Bradley Chubb, which has not given dividends yet.
Yeah. Yeah, just get some doctor to fake that you had mononucleosis so you could get the incomplete there, right? And just saying, well, I would have done the paper, but I mean, I was seeing bugs. What do you want me to do? Can I buy another couple of weeks? Sure.
I didn't have mono, but FSU's medical thing would always give everyone mono.
Everybody had mono. Yeah, I know. I did have it. It wasn't fun. I have to say.
They gave me mono, and I still took a final in the teacher's fucking office. That's
oh yeah. Oh my God.
I had an out, and I didn't want to take the out.
I would say mono had a more devastating impact on me for a couple of days than even that bout with COVID. Yeah. I mean, of course, I don't know. Maybe I had a mild, dealing with it. But I remember I could barely walk to the infirmary. And you know me, Libby, I always think it's going to be nothing. So I just figure, okay, I'll just keep going. But I remember I can still envision myself walking to the infirmary, which wasn't that far from where I was living at the time at the Q's. And I literally crawled in there. And the guy he took one look at me and said, whoosh, they sent you straight out to the Happy Farm there where they farm out all the people with mono or people that have, something going on that's beyond the usual, common cold and things like that, normal, situations that you're going to recover quickly from. And it was like a 2-day knockout. It really was, just a complete frosting. It was unbelievable. All right, so when we have a Degenerate Friday on tap here with the Greek, he's standing by, and a bunch of other stuff going on. We have the Heat in action tomorrow. I'm fascinated by the playoffs. I'm getting into all the series, and I love the fact that in the NHL, it's after game 2 that the two teams really start going off on each other. I don't know if you saw the Rangers and the Devils last night, but the Rangers score 5 unanswered at from the time they were down 1-0 and end up winning that game 5-1. So they're up 2-0 after winning the 2 in New Jersey against the Devils. But by the end of the game, they were there were like 4 people left on the bench. They had kicked everybody out of the game. The game was already decided. It was like 4-1 with about 6 minutes to go. And very unlikely that the Devils are going to make a comeback in this one. And then they just started going after each other. And the same thing is happening in all these other series. You saw with the Bruins and the Panthers the other night, right? End of game 2, all of a sudden everybody's trying to beat the shit out of each other. It's great. So we'll see how that impacts the game tonight. But last night Toronto comes back. The Toronto fans had to be stunned after game 1 against the Lightning. And they come back and win it 7-2. Rangers big over New Jersey. Seattle almost took a 2-0 lead on the defending Stanley Cup champion. This is why you have to love the Wild West activity. You don't know what's going to happen in the NHL. You can kind of predict the NBA, but you have no idea what's going to happen in the NHL. Colorado came back and won that game 3-2. Seattle was up 2-0. An expansion team, for God's sake, Lubie. They're supposed to look like the 62 Mets. They're supposed to be announcing Hobie Landreth as a pinch hitter for Duke Snyder because Duke passed away while he was in the dugout. Batting for Snyder, who is deceased. I mean, it's supposed to be awful. By the way, how did we ever let go? I mean, that was a disgrace what they did with Gerard Gallant, the Panther organization. That's another thing. I mean, I'll give Brian Schwartz this. I mean, our organizations here do some of the dumbest shit that you could ever do, right? Like they'll fire the reigning manager of the year.
Yes, I have not fought any of that. I've never defended the organizations. I just defend the fans.
This doesn't happen a lot in other cities. I mean, not as frequently and almost as routinely as it does here. Where
like they'll have failings, but we haven't been. That's the thing. They've been around 100 and something years. You would think over 100 something years something would happen. Yeah. We haven't been around long to have as many boneheaded decisions as
bozoic incidents. Yeah, constantly, right? Where I mean, it literally, like it was just a few years ago. The Dolphins were trying to sell you on the idea that this is the only way to go. Strip it all down and build it up with young players that you have control of for 4 or 5 years. And, we're going to have all these draft picks. And meanwhile, you come to the point where it should be really coming to fruition here. And boom, you got nothing, man.
Yep.
You have a second, third, sixth, and seventh round pick.
Yes.
Squadooch. Nothing. Unbelievable. All right. These series are good. And Las Vegas came back. They were down. Well, it was 2-2 after 2 periods, the Golden Knights. Another team that Gallant took to a Stanley Cup final. So he had the Rangers in the conference finals last year. He took an expansion team in its first year, right? Wasn't that the first year? And they went to the Stanley Cup finals with Gerard Gallant as their coach?
The Kings. Not the Kings, the Knights. Yeah.
Knights, yeah.
Yep.
And this was a guy we literally threw off the team bus.
Yeah, he seemed to be decent at coaching.
I think it might, the story goes it had something to do with him telling Vinny Viola to fuck off.
He did. He's an old school dude. He has his own opinion. He's not.
That takes some balls, man. I mean, we got to respect that. The only guy I know that would do that in our, circle. Well, Mayo might do it. It's possible.
Mayo would. That's the thing.
The Greek certainly would not be. I mean, he might put it in more dignified terms.
Yes.
But essentially, he'd be telling his boss to fuck off. He's going to join us in just a second here. Degenerate Friday would not be complete without mentioning the good people at Hialeah Park. Unbelievable, because, you can be like a classy degenerate there, I mean, it's almost, you could be a James Bond type and be playing poker for high stakes. You could be in there sending it in the race book there, which is known as the Champions Simulcasting Room. Just a fantastic spot to plunge on the ponies. You have Keeneland going. The weather's been great there. It's really been dynamite. It doesn't even matter. I don't know that they run a lot of cheap platers there, a lot of cheap claiming horses. They really don't, because it's only like a 3-week meet. Every horse looks like, it could be on the cover of, a Blood Horse magazine. I mean, it's unbelievable how beautiful the animals are there. And you can bet on them at Hialeah Park and then sort of have that same inherent beauty in the surroundings that you'll get at Keeneland, which is a cathedral for racing, as Hialeah was back in the day when they were running horses there. They're still running, and you can just kind of apply a little imagination, and bingo, man. You're back in the day, man. It's absolutely fantastic. And then, of course, as I said, the poker room is top-notch, and the casino, all your favorite Vegas-style games. So if you want to plunge, tonight, open till 5 a.m., same thing tomorrow. So you can, bet your brains out all the way into the wee hours of the morning and almost, well into the next day, as Hialeah Park on the weekends is open till 5 a.m. Great food and drink all over the place, and that party outside at the outside patio bar is fantastic. You're going to love it. You're going to love everything about beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, we're coming back with the Greek. Then we'll have the big board with the professor. That's always a gas. The Gambling Gourmet Mike Mayo. How many trips has he made to Runway 84 since they reopened? Does he eat there every night?
He eats there once every 2-3 weeks.
It's amazing, huh?
And I guess he does pay, because he gets like 80 dishes. So there's some kind of money exchanged.
Yeah.
But he doesn't pay what normal humans would pay.
I don't know. No, he's willing to, spend money on food. I'll give him that.
He also makes sure to fucking text the owners, not
Oh no, that business
there.
is pure
Not like
bullshit.
I literally Ken found me at the Foundry when I met Andy there, and Ken actually was like perturbed. I didn't because I knew if I told Ken ahead of time that he would want to take care of me, and that's not his responsibility. I didn't want that. So it looked the opposite, where he found me there, and he was like, "Oh, you could." I was like, "Obviously." Mayo does the opposite. Mayo texts like 3 days in advance.
Yes.
No, I was thinking.
By the way, I'll be coming in, and I was curious, about the steak. Could I just try a bite?
The steak.
Could you bring out like one piece, cut it off somebody else's dish? And what's Anthony Bruno going to say, man? I mean, the guy's made a lot of money in the restaurant business. He's going to say, "Come on, Mayo, the steak's on me."
Oh yeah, full freight. How many dishes did they bring out that you didn't ask for, Michael?
Yeah.
That's not paying full freight. If you order 3 dishes and they bring out 7, it's fine.
Yeah, he beats his chest and acts like he's.
I aspire to be you.
Not doing
Don't
that.
get me
Yeah.
wrong. I aspire to be you. But
yeah, it's great. I mean, nothing like getting comped. Wherever you go, it's fantastic. All right, we're going to bring on a Greek. I mean, he has the same level of while he's not as indignant about it. Where I don't think the Greek gives a heads up to the owners of Monroe's that he's coming in there and he wants like the hottest girls and and a couple of steaks cooked up rare, waiting for him when he gets there. You also like to park for free. And could you take care of the valet for me while you're at it, man? I don't have any cash on me. All right. Does he ask Anthony Bruno to actually tip the valet guy? I don't think so. He throws him a 5.
He's actually very generous.
Does a 5 work at Runway 84? Or do you have to give the guy $10? What's your? I give all valet parkers a 5. What do you think?
I usually do $2-3, so I'm already.
It seems too cheap. I mean, what's $1 buy you anymore? Not even egg and one egg.
Yeah, I'm not the guy to ask. I'm very cheap. Like I am. The funny thing is, Mayo actually is generous. I just like giving him a hard time because he does.
Oh no, on that part, he is definitely cashing in.
I find it funny. I'm like
taking advantage of situation. Yeah. Because there's no reason for him to forewarn every owner of every restaurant and every chef that he's coming in. Do you do that? I mean, when you're going out? He's going to like Denny's. He's calling a chef there. I'll be in there for the Grand Slam. Do you know who the owner is of this particular store?
I feel awkward doing that. Like I wanted to do that. I feel weird doing it.
It's always nice. I've had, many occasions where people have taken really good care of me, and I'm always grateful for it. It's nice, although I'm willing to pay. I mean, I'd much rather not. All right, we're coming back with the Greek. This guy will pick up every check anyway.
He does.
Back with the Greek in a moment. Now that.
The time.
7:35.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Talk you out of stuff like that, Greek. I mean, that's a mistake. You know that.
I know. I made a mistake.
Yeah, you're better than that,
first.
Greek. Come on.
I know. I was out to dinner and I actually made a mistake. I said,
if you didn't let anybody talk you out of the marriage, how could you let them talk you out of Detroit?
Oh, God, Defo.
Your best
that
bet.
is so perfect. That's a T-shirt.
We are back with Defo and the boys. It's now time for the Defo Show.
All right, time to really get rolling with this Degenerate Friday. Welcome back to the show. Jeff DeForest. We got Mike Lubitz. Happy to have you guys with us here on South Florida Live and all of our other various platforms, including Ethan Skolnick's fine outfit, 5 Reasons Sports Network. And it's a pleasure to welcome this gentleman to the program. Mayo's defending himself on a chat line here, saying, "Oh no, I gave a $5 tip and all of this stuff," which we're assuming he does. But I see the Greek doing a little Jimmy Conway type of thing, don't you? Where I mean, do you grease everybody with a 20 when you walk into a place, Greek, as a matter of routine? Do you just hand like everybody a 20, or is it a stick that you're giving out?
No, I take care of everybody.
I noticed that about you. Yeah, I mean, you're slipping everybody like a bill, like literally, like Jimmy Conway style, man. It's fantastic.
Yeah, everybody gets a tip. And I gave you guys a big tip last week. I hope you were on it. It happened 7 times in a row. The Marlins under when they were home. And
Wow. No, we slept on that one. Of course, we didn't bet it. It was a winner.
Why would we do that?
7 games in a row.
Wow. And you were on it. Now, did you parlay that? I mean, your stick on a 7-game parlay, I think, would get you back $12,800.
11,300. Who's counting?
Exactly.
Nice job. What have you been doing, Greek? I mean, we always get a little vicarious thrill through the tales of your social life. Anything happening there?
Somebody new in the lineup. Looks like they could break through and be the number 1 starter. We're working on it.
Nice.
But,
number 1 starter. Wow.
Wow. Not even a rotational piece.
And no bullpen needed on this one.
Really?
Are you kidding me? She's going the distance every fight. Unbelievable.
You can't see Defo's face, but he's stunned.
Yeah, we might.
All right. Remind yourself.
Guaranteed. We're still working out guaranteed money and stuff like that.
Signing bonus.
Signing bonus. There's a lot to work out.
Remind yourself not to fall too deeply in love this time.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah. Make sure you keep your distance.
Take your time.
Keep her at bay with the jab, Greek.
There's 2 morons.
Even if you're just using it as a rangefinder, keep her at bay with the jab. And I don't mean that in the literal physical sense. Very good. All right. What's your feeling now? Have you caught any Panther fever? Are you? I know you.
No.
You'll bet on anything. Are you involved at all in the NHL?
No, I mean, I like to see the Panthers win, but they're not going to be Boston. That's like my boss picking up a tab. It ain't happening.
No, I mean, you weren't encouraged at all by this latest performance there. Supposedly, the story goes that I guess I might have gotten this from the great Jim Sarney that the Boston players were all on a radio talking a lot of shit and saying, how great they were. And then they went out and just literally got pounded by the Florida Panthers late in that game. They ran away and hid in the third period. Coming home, I don't know. Are you feeling any buzz up there in the Boca Palm Beach area about the playoffs at all? Or is it just, still the city of indifference?
No, the people really are rooting for, obviously, the Panthers and the Heat. But I don't see the Panthers winning, but you never know. And what's the series, 1-1 now?
Yeah.
1-1. The first game wasn't exactly, overwhelming the difference between the two teams.
No, seriously.
And, the second game, the Panthers are really, were much the best. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. The crowd gets behind these teams when they get to this point.
Yep.
So, it could be an actual home ice advantage for the Panthers, which I think they enjoy in the regular season, too.
Yeah, because they're winning, and everybody's a front runner. You know that.
Yeah. All right.
When teams win, people start coming out and they, I want to support. But where are they in mid-February when they're playing the St. Louis Blues? You know what I mean? They're at New York Times having dinner. So, I'm glad they won. I'm glad they won, like I said. But the Marlins under 7 games in a row. Only when the Marlins are home, not when they're on the road.
Well, it used to be a thing, my buddy Eddie Kaplan, one of the true degenerates, and probably should be the poster child for all degenerate activity. He had a thing where when they used to play at Hard Rock Stadium, all day games went over. Day games routinely went over there. Yeah. And he made a lot of money on that proposition. So you're on to something, Greek. Where did you deduce that yourself, or did you get that from your boys in Vegas? So how did you come up with that one?
I came up with that myself. I've just been looking and looking. I said, oh, my God, every time they're home, the game stays under, and it's a hard park to hit it.
Yeah.
Happened 7 times in a row.
That's crazy.
So
unbelievable. Nice one. All right. Are you into the NBA activity at all?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
All right.
A lot of injuries in the NBA. I think that guy, Dylan Brooke, who called out LeBron crazy, because I think LeBron's going to spank him next time the Lakers play him.
60.
Yeah.
And he called LeBron old. Like, what is wrong with that guy? I mean,
there seems to be a screw loose with this Dylan Brooks guy. Yeah.
He's ill.
Yeah. He'll be parking cars at the Funky Biscuit. You didn't even know who he is.
Well, you gotta pay for parking there now, through no fault of the biscuit. But once again, a greedy mall owner or whatever has got people paying for parking there. They can't even go get their nails done in Boca without complaining now.
They stopped that paying for parking in the thing from the uproar.
Oh yeah, did they really?
Yeah.
It's already been shut down.
Shut down. Yeah, for now it's been shut down.
Oh,
Royal
nice.
Palm Place is just south of Meisner. Yeah. It seemed like a lame move. It really did. It's hard enough to find a parking spot there at night anyway. So, and you had to do it on some special app, which, me, I would have never been able to download it. I would have had a boot on all 4 of my tires by the time I got out of the show. But would have been ugly. All right. So what do you think? Now, the Heat are going to be taking on the challenge once again of playing the Milwaukee Bucks. Well, we don't know if the Greek's coming back. What do you think? Heat in Game 3 tomorrow night.
Nah, I don't think so.
Nothing, huh?
I don't see it. To be honest, they got lucky Game 1. Hero's a big loss. He broke his hand. That sucks. But yeah, I don't see them coming back. But again, that's just my opinion. The Warriors won last night, thank God, because I want them to keep winning. I like them. So
yeah, they really handled the Sacramento Kings last night, and it was like a tale of two cities with Golden State all year. They suck on the road, where I think they only won like 8 games or something like that, 11 games maybe, and what were they, 11-30 on the road, and they only lost 8 games at home all year. So, a Jekyll and Hyde team.
It is a Jekyll and Hyde team, but it's more Curry. Like Curry the other night was like whatever he was, 3 for 13, and then last night he had 36 points. So when he plays good and he hits those threes, they win.
Yeah, they were feeling it last night. You can tell. And no Draymond Green, which, we were asking last week or during the week how much difference this guy makes. He actually makes statistically a huge difference even still. Because they're much better with Draymond Green in the lineup than not. So they managed to overcome that last night.
It's like you and Lubie. When Lubie's there, you're much better.
That's true, man. I need that laugh track, man. Everybody does in this racket. All right, so you're going to give us a couple of official picks here, Greek?
This weekend, I would definitely bet the Lakers over Memphis based on what they're saying. I think I would take the Celtics in Atlanta.
Okay.
I think the Celtics will sweep them. But that's about it that I like. But the Marlins was a big one and that ended. But,
they're on the road right now.
The Derby's 2 weeks from now. We'll get ready for that.
Yes, sir.
What do you think, Greek? Do you have a line on some bomb that's going to come in the Derby? Any word out of Vegas?
It's a good thing you said that. So last week I'm at the track, and I'll send it to Lubie if you want.
Okay.
And I'm leaving, and some guy hits me walking out of the bathroom hard, accidentally with a Yankee cap.
Yeah.
I go to the window, and I play 257 trifecta. Race is 2 minutes away. Jeter, DiMaggio, Mantle.
Nice.
I paid for $2 box and give me another $2 box, whatever. So I'm finishing my show. I don't even know. You'll love this. And this guy, Eric, who does the window, older guy, he goes, I'm playing this because you know what? You got a big ass. So comes in 257.
Beautiful.
Oh, my God.
So $18 ended up bringing me back, like, I don't know, $3,400.
Jeez. Good for you.
You're unbelievable, Greek.
The guy Only because the guy hit me with a Yankee cap.
That's
He
so
hit me
funny.
with a Yankee cap, and then I'm like, oh, yeah, let me do Jeter, DiMaggio, and Mantle. And I looked at him, and he looked up at me. He goes, are you blanking serious? Yeah.
And the other guy hit
So-
for 3,400 too. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's funny.
No, he didn't win for 34. He only had $1. He goes, I should have known. So I see him, and I'm walking through the buffet by Dead Bob's, and he goes, I can't believe I won. I knew it. He goes, I just called my wife. I go, why'd you call her? He goes, you're right. I shouldn't have called her.
No, he could have told her he won a stick, which is the way to bring that off. Well, that's excellent, Greek. You know what? To a lot of guys, that'll be sickening though, because they know that you put like no effort into reading a racing form or anything of that nature. It's just not based on statistics. You don't know about the bloodlines. So you're not going to sit there and say, "Hey, did you see this? This is a sneaky little workout here at the bottom." And coming out of Monmouth Park, this horse has a real shot. You're just up there boxing Yankee numbers, dead Yankees, unbelievable. Except for Jeter, who's still very much alive.
Yeah, so that's what I did. Luck, I always say you better realize better lucky than good.
I agree with you 1,000%. As much as you like to be right about things, I would much rather have your luck than my years and years of experience of trying to pick horses and only coming up with losers.
That's impossible. And I said that to my buddy, and he was with me. He's doing the show. He goes, I can't believe it. He goes, but I've seen it 100 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long shot if they come in, but that's the first time, honestly, I've ever hit a trifecta. Maybe I hit 2 in my life, but and the only reason I did is because the kid hit me. If the kid didn't bump into me, I would have never.
You would have taken a piss and left. That would have been it. Beautiful. All right.
Yeah.
Greek, always a pleasure, my friend. Continued good luck and success to you. I'm glad, maybe you'll be lucky in love this time. That would be fantastic.
Nice.
Nice to hear that you're not, going and throwing bomb gun there out there in the mountain who just got sent down to the minors. Or maybe you did send somebody down, to move this woman into the rotation.
Again, we'll see what happens. It's early stage.
Take your time. From
Yeah. Proceed with caution. Yeah.
Take your time.
As they say,
Enjoy.
what's your favorite sign in romance? Slippery when wet, my friend. Slippery when wet. Keep that in mind.
Okay, I love you guys.
Yeah.
From the bottom of my heart. But I've had more 5-letter than James Bond. Just relax. Even Brady lost a couple Super Bowls.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck with everything, Greek. We love you, man.
Love you.
You're a great American. The Greek, ladies and gentlemen. All right, that's a good way to start out a Degenerate Friday. He does have serendipitous luck. It's beyond that, man. It's not beginner's luck. I don't know what it is at the racetrack. And you've witnessed it too, Lubie, right? Where you're going bet $100 on the 3 biggest bombs in the race, and of course they run 1, 2, 3. Yep. And you're like, wait a minute, man. I mean, you wait a lifetime for a move like that, and this guy just walks up to the window and does it because he has a cavalier attitude towards this sort of thing, and it works. Not into the hockey at all, huh? The Greek, I thought he might be a big hockey guy.
From betting, I guess. I think he watches it, like he pays attention to the Rangers and the Panthers, but I don't think he bets.
Yeah,
I think he lays off.
Philadelphia went off a 4.5-point favorite against Brooklyn, right?
They were losing the whole game. I don't know what the hell happened at the end of that game. They were losing the entire game.
Yeah.
I thought,
and looked like they were going to, lose it completely, certainly to the spread. And somehow Philadelphia slipped in like a miracle 3. I turned away from the game thinking Philly had it won. Then I turned back like a second later, and somehow they got a miraculous 3 points, almost as if like FanDuel had just changed the scoreboard because they had a lot of action going in on the Brooklyn Nets. But, Brooklyn losing that game. No team has ever come back in NBA history in the playoffs from a 3-0 deficit. Isn't that weird? No team has ever done it. It's not in the finals. That's just any round. No team has ever come back from 3-0 down.
Yeah, never.
I believe it's 141-0.
Yep.
So maybe now's the time to jump on the Brooklyn Nets. No? It's due.
No.
That would be a very improbable one if Philadelphia somehow ended up losing the series. They were like triple teaming Embiid for the entire series. He only had 14 points, I think, in the game last night. But you're going to have to admit eventually, Lubie, that Tyrese Maxey is a hell of a player.
I think he's a good player. I just was
hell
saying
of a player,
he's a star.
He is a star at this point. He really is. Harden got ejected in the game. Joel Embiid had tried to kick a guy in the balls. You see that? Is that Claxton?
I don't understand. Yeah, Andy was saying that. Like, if he actually did he connect? Like, how was he not kicked out of
him? He didn't kick him in the balls, but I mean, It looked like, I mean, unless he was, auditioning for the Rockettes or something. He, he literally, he was on the ground and he just like tried to kick the guy in the groin area. And, no ejection, nothing, because it was Embiid, I guess. Harden got ejected later on. I didn't see for what, but yeah, he got thrown out of the ball game. It was really one of those games too, where you would have thought that they should have just dedicated the game to Grayson Allen. It was cheap shot city the entire way. A lot of stuff going on. So the hatred was coming out between those two teams, and it's heating up. How the Clippers were in this game without Kawhi Leonard and Paul George is amazing, huh? Is that a scathing indictment against the Phoenix Suns? Their stars were great in the game. Did they have nobody else that can play?
They don't have a bench, and I get that, and that's what people keep saying. I don't know. We'll see. They have a lot of talent. If those guys are on, I feel like they're going to win games. I don't
Booker
know
had
what
40 something,
Yep.
and Durant had 28 points, and he was hitting everything also. So and they were life and death to beat a Kawhi Leonardless and no Paul George. We know that, but when did this happen with Kawhi Leonard? That all of a sudden he had this knee flare up because the Clippers were getting like 2.5 points, even with the assumption that he was going to be playing. I can't imagine what the spread was when it went off. But you said that was our only winning dog on our 3-dog night.
Yes.
It was a complete blowjob, though. I mean, to lose that game with Brooklyn getting 4 and a hook, the line might have increased once we got to game time, but I don't know how they got this miracle 3. I should have never turned away because that had to be one of the tough beats of all time. Seeing Brooklyn fail to cover that point spread against Philadelphia. All right, coming back with the professor. He's going to join us here. He's got a big board working for us. The Gambling Gourmet Mike Mayo, fresh off yet another meal like I'm going to the chair. In fact, our buddy Joe Casale, who was with him, they were celebrating Joe's birthday at Runway 84. And he actually phrased it that way. He said, I ate like I was going to the chair, which is not uncommon. I mean, we just have these lunches with Mayo. Imagine what it's like at dinner time. Oh, my God, especially with the freebies that, he's going to be accorded by the staff. He contacted all 3 owners at Runway 84. Not just Anthony Bruno, man, who he knows, right? But the other guys, too, that are involved. He even had, the band play a couple of requests. It was amazing. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. The professor joins us on a Degenerate Friday. We'll get some more selections. Aussie Rules football still going on?
Oh, yeah, just started.
Oh, okay, cool. Fremantle again? Do we ride the back of Fremantle right into the Australian sunset? No?
Sure.
Surfing all the way to our grave? Back with the professor in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 7:55. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in Style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
I don't get it. I don't understand what's going on in America. And again, if you're feeling like, what the hell is the point of being a billionaire if you're going to, I mean, like, as much as Donald Trump talks about the Justice Department out to get him and witch hunt, here's a real witch hunt. The real witch hunt is Ben Affleck in an Afro wig portraying you in a major movie that is constantly advertised during the Final Four. I would take a New York indictment over this 9, 10 times out of 10. Every day of the week and twice on Sunday. If my choices were go to prison for a couple of years over sex with a porn star or having Ben Affleck in a curly wig make you look like, and honestly, this is one of the better looking pictures. He looks like a much bigger asshole than most of the rest of the preview. Like how you let this happen if you're Phil Knight, how you actively signed up for this if you're Phil Knight, I have no idea. Like I assume it's just that Affleck and Damon ambushed him with this. Like he had no idea. He signed off, and then he got to actually see what he's being made to look like. Like Phil Knight, I mean, hey, look, we all know you have spent your life torturing children in your Chinese factories. And that's going to go down as a much more positive note than this stupid fucking movie. Right? I would much rather have them had left Ben Affleck out and made a movie about what goes on in your Chinese factories than have Ben Affleck make you look like this.
Enjoy your trip to work with lots of laughs thanks to Defo and Lubie. Now on the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show, a Degenerate Friday here on the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest, we've got Mike Lubie Lubitz, and always a pleasure to welcome this man to the program on these Fridays, especially as he has what I think is the number one feature in all the podcasting, the big board of whatever it happens to be this week. The professor joins us here on the show, also with a very astute opinion, usually on all things degenerate. How are you, Professor?
I am great, Defo. How are you this week?
Doing all right. I'm doing okay. I mean, I was dead wrong the other night about the playoff games. Lubie actually looking at these things with a certain level of clairvoyance. Correctly predicted that the improbable would happen and the Panthers would beat the Bruins in Game 2. And
Phil
then
Lubie's on the side of the Angels, and you once again are on the side of Boston teams like you always are.
There you go. Well, I didn't know. I mean, I'm looking at the records and I'm thinking, Boston probably wins at home. They only lost 4 regulation games there all year.
Color me shocked. You looked through things and you decided a Boston team is going to win.
Yeah.
Were you praying to your Bobby Hoare bobblehead while you came to that conclusion?
I was trying to grow my hair back like Derek Sanderson, actually. I remember when he was flying around the ice. It was great.
No, I don't.
Sanderson was a real playboy with the Boston Bruins many years ago. And then, Lubie, usually I hear how negative he is about his own teams. Professor, how many times have you heard him whining and fetching about a team that was doing great? Because it was a team that he rooted for here in town, and the Miami Heat are especially a target of that sort of psychopathic behavior on his part. And he had them losing to the Bucks, even though Giannis was not going to play.
I think a lot of people actually called that one correctly. I think that was kind of inevitable. That and again, congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks for their dedication outside of Giannis Antetokounmpo of annoying white guys from college teams that pissed me off. I mean, like Grayson Allen, Connaughton. All you need to do is sign a Hansborough brother, and you have like the perfect collection.
Grayson Allen, what a disgrace! I mean, and he buried the Heat during a stretch there when they actually were still alive in the game with like 3 straight 3-pointers from the Coke machine.
Yeah, I think everybody could see that. Look, how many times have we seen it in the NBA? And Pat Riley, for as much as he's done great things over the year, his teams are particularly guilty of this, where you go on the road, you're the running, you get game 1 somehow, and then you come out in game 2 with just zero effort whatsoever. Like you were spending the night before or even maybe the day of in the strip clubs in Milwaukee. And I have been to strip clubs in Wisconsin. That is not a good scene.
Can't imagine. No,
there's a lot of
there's nothing to do there.
There's a lot of C-section scars involved there. You don't necessarily want to engage in that particular, but no, and that's what we saw for the Heat. I thought totally flat in that first quarter. Let Milwaukee come out and shoot a bunch of wide open threes and let them get right back in the series, even with Giannis hurt. So yeah, unfortunately, that was completely foreseeable, but still a shame nonetheless, because if you're the Heat, you really needed that game to have any chance in this series.
All right. I'm thinking the same thing as many people are, and that it didn't come as any stunning surprise that they would show up flat in that game and do nothing. and allow Brooke Lopez to look like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, which was pretty amazing. I remember who was it?
Well,
Was
what a shock! The 7'2" dude who's being covered by Struz, who's like 6'4",
What is going
goes
on?
off in the post. And the funny part is the announcers are going nuts about it.
Oh,
They're
they were loving Lopez.
Well,
yeah.
normally Lopez stands out by the 3-point line, but for some reason they're posting him up tonight. Yeah, because he's being guarded by a midget.
Billy Barty is, trying to stop him.
Nice job, Spolster. Why didn't you come out and defend Brooke Lopez that night? And then Nick stunned that he gets like 12 first quarter points in the paint.
I may be wrong about this. What was it? A player named Mo Williams that was deciding whether to sign with the Heat or Milwaukee?
Yeah, years
Mo
ago.
Williams.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and I remember doing a little, comparison, life in South Florida versus Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I believe it was the number 2 attraction of being in Milwaukee was to tour the Miller Lite Brewery. And I thought if that's at number 2 on the list, then this isn't
I'm not
exactly,
lie.
entertainment
the Miller
paradise.
Plant's actually a better tour than you think it is. It's actually you get a lot of free samples, and remember Miller does make Leinenkugels, so that's not as bad a deal as you think it would be. I'll take that. I'll take that over, a lot of the shit that goes on in Art Basel that we make such a big deal out of.
Well, that's one of our favorites, Art Basel or whatever it is, who we thought was a goon defenseman for the Minnesota North Stars back in the day, right?
I'm just saying, it's not like
Art Basel under the ice.
It's not like we here in South Florida don't have some stupid shit that we like.
Oh yeah.
When I first moved down to Broward County, like one of the first thing everybody told me was like, "Oh, you have to go spend the day at Butterfly World." Oh yeah, Butterfly World.
For sure.
Because that's my thing, is to go look at butterflies all day long. Yeah.
I consider the track to be a version of Butterfly World. Because I'm usually seeing butterflies.
So to be fair, most cities, have something lame that for some reason people within that city just absolutely adore. I don't really think the Miller Plant is all that lame, but yeah, we've got our own little quirks down here in South Florida.
Yeah. All right. So you don't see the Heat winning this series?
I don't see the Heat winning this. Again, any chance they had, I thought was dependent on winning Game 2.
Right.
Unfortunately, look, the Heat have the same thing we've been going through for a couple of years now, which is offensively in particular in the postseason. This group's just not good enough. I mean, you can blame it on whatever you want. The addition of Kyle Lowry was supposed to be the key piece. Obviously, his signing's been a huge disappointment.
Yep.
I understand why they gave Duncan Robinson $90 million or whatever the hell it was.
It looked good at the time.
That has not worked out well. And then you've got a team which, again, I'm not trying to hate like on a Gabe Vincent or a Max Struz. I think they're good stories, and they're the kind of grit players you need on a good roster. Unfortunately, the Heat got like 5 of them. And
it should be
you've gotten yourself in a position where like one of those dudes pretty much has to have a big night, particularly when you have the injury problems the Heat have had this season. And you can't depend on guys like that to come up big offensively night in, night out.
I know that was prohibitive for them to re-sign this guy, and probably seemed minor at the time. In fact, most people I remember talking to Scoop Skolnick, and he summarily dismissed this as being no big deal. But I'm watching PJ Tucker, just cut it out for the Philadelphia 76ers last night, doing all the stuff, that doesn't necessarily show up in a box score, and yet keeping balls alive on the offensive boards, coming up with loose balls, defending like his life depended on it. And I don't know. I mean, the Heat don't have that type of player outside of, I guess, Jimmy Butler obviously is a better version of that, but they don't have that one guy that just gets in there and has like this gritty sort of hustle game, and I think that set him back a little bit also.
I mean, I'm not going to say
not that they needed PJ Tucker
I think
specifically.
Honestly, have a lot of guys who bring a gritty hustle. If anything, honestly, maybe not enough top level offensive players, and maybe too many guys who bring a gritty hustle game and not a 3-point shot, for example. Honestly, the Heat would probably be a better team if Duncan Robinson, who's not a gritty hustle player, is a 3-point shooter, could provide more consistent minutes. Unfortunately, once he got the money, he stopped being. What Lubie and I were talking about this the other day. For some reason, there's this weird thing where Miami Heat guys who are reliable 3-point shooters only last like 1 year with the Miami Heat. It's like Jason Capono and Daquan Cook, and there's been a litany of dudes who had like 1 or maybe 2 really good shooting seasons as that spot up 3-point guy, and then vanish the minute you kind of start to count on them a little bit as a key member of the roster. So if anything, and again, I really liked what PJ Tucker brought to the team last year. I did think he brought that grit better than other guys like a Struz or like a Gabe Vincent. But if anything, I think there's probably too many of those guys.
Yeah, maybe you're
on this team, and not enough guys who when Jimmy Butler creates something can knock down an open jump shot consistently.
Yes.
Yeah, and then there seems to be a reluctance. So, like Louie's always pointing out about Bam Adebayo, and he went back to that in game number 2 after having this big run late in game 1, which was instrumental in them winning that ball game, where he was knocking down that short and mid range jumper. As Brook Lopez was showing, that he's only a great defender if he's, standing under the rim. But he went away from it. I mean, they would pass him the ball, and he would be wide open, and he just turn right around and shoot it back out to the 3-point stripe.
I mean, I get the frustration, and I know Lubie probably embodies it more than any human being on earth.
No doubt.
But I think we got to the point last year, probably in the playoffs, and certainly it has lasted throughout this season, where you have to accept that Bam is what he is. He is a great defensive player, and he's that kind of Swiss Army knife defender that you need in the modern NBA, because you have to have someone who can play the switch on the pick and rolls and who can chase a stretch 4 or a stretch 5 outside and can defend a big. But offensively, he's probably never going to be a premier player. He's at best going to be a number 2. And I mean, a lot of nights he's not even going to be a number 2. He's going to be like a 2B or a 3. And if you saw Bam coming out of Kentucky, it's probably not a great shock. The thing with Bam is he made so much progress those first couple of years offensively, particularly as a passer, which you never saw any hint of at the college level. And unfortunately, he sort of peaked there. It really hasn't developed from that. And I can't really say what it is he needs to add. I mean, his face-up game's okay. It's not an A+ face-up game. His back to the basket game is okay. It's probably not quite as good as his face-up game. But I don't really see necessarily any indication that he's ever going to get better. So you have to accept what Bam is and fix the roster around him or move on. And I don't know which road the Heat will go down. I think you can build a good roster with Bam as a key part of it. He's just got to be down the ladder a little bit offensively from where he is. And again, some of that role probably should be falling to Tyler Hero, who's obviously injured right now, but who, again, kind of hit a wall after year 1. Doesn't seem like he's made much progress.
Yet, statistically, I mean, he won the 6th Man of the Year last year and had a similar stat line this year while being in the starting lineup predominantly. But inconsistent. Lubie always points this out. You can't necessarily count on this guy in big spots all the time. He'll come up big once in a while and really surprise you in a place where you're thinking that's not happening, and then turn right back around and have a dud, which is kind of the story of the Heat season.
Well, again, but let's also remember he's young, and we do see guys who make that leap from good player to again. I would say to some degree right now, that's the story we're seeing play out in Sacramento, is that you've got 2 guys in De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis who made that leap from good player to great player over the course of this year.
Yeah.
And, are seeing a franchise that may very well take down the defending champs because of it. So it can happen.
You wait on it.
I mean, the Kings waited for a few years on it. We'll see. I don't know how long you wait on the problem with the Heat is obviously, in terms of waiting on it, the Heat is not a patient franchise. And, Pat Riley's an older guy. He's not going to probably sit there and wait for the development. He'll probably go out and try to get in the trade market. And that's a legitimate route to go too. So we'll see what happens. But I do think with this particular Heat group, you probably hit the wall where you got to do something one way or the other.
All right. Well, it's a Degenerate Friday, and I was shooting blanks like Drake. I guess I don't know. Did you see that story about Drake and his parlays? They were all blown up by the Bruins
Yeah, because he's
losing
a
to the
moron.
Panthers.
Because he
Yeah,
bets like again.
150 grand on
I
parlays.
don't know what the fuck is with younger people
Yeah,
who have all brought. Yeah, I'm officially old now, so I can start bitching about
yeah.
the youth. Um,
Prop parlays.
all you idiots out there betting like a 3-team parlay is like a low number. No, learn from Drake. Betting 3-team, 4-team, 5-team, 10-team parlays. It's hard to win those goddamn bets. There's a reason you get those odds because
Yeah.
you're not going to cash very often. And if you're Drake and you can just piss money away, that's fine.
Yes.
But for most of you, that's not the case. You actually need that $10, for food and whatnot, for your avocado toast that Sunday brunch. You need that extra $15. Stop betting these wild ass parlays. Just bet single games, bet sides, bet totals, stack up your results. Here's the thing. If you go like 60%, you can make a very nice pile as long as you continue to stack things.
Yeah.
When you go 60% on a parlay, you lose. Stop trying to cash these big tickets over and over again. It's not the goddamn lottery. It's not like playing scratchers. And honestly, if you're going to do that, you ought to just go buy fucking scratchers because maybe you'll win $10,000 or $1 million. Honestly, it's so stupid. And this is why, like 10 years from now, FanDuel and goddamn DraftKings and probably Penn through the Barstool thing are going to take over the world. They're going to be running our government at the current pace because all you idiots are just handing them everything $10 and $15 at a time, betting these wild ass parlays. So dumb.
Spoken like Ace Rothstein, right? Just go back to what you do best, picking winners.
Again,
That's the way to
the
do
great Beano Cook, a figure who has been lost to history, who I loved back in the day on college football, tells the classic story about it. When he first started betting, his bookmaker pulled him aside at the track and said, "Okay, here's my card. If you're going to bet games, give me a call. If you're going to bet parlays, I'll call you. If you're gonna bet teasers, I'll come in my town car, pick you up, take you to lunch, and then you can give me your bet."
Right? They send a cab for guys that are betting games, and they send a limo for guys that are betting parlays. That's for sure. All right, Professor, before we get into the big board, do you have any predictions that you would like to
I do. Once
pass
again,
along
went
to the
1-1 last week on Aussie Rules, so we're waiting for a heat up week as we come in at 2-2 early in the Aussie Rules season. We got one we really like this week, so we're going to tell you we like one better than the other, and that is Sydney getting 15.5 from Geelong. Geelong, a team we have talked about a lot here through the years. All offense, no defense. That has been the story with the Cats the whole time we've been watching Aussie football. They're one of the most effective offensive teams in the AFL, have been for 3 years now, but they don't play any defense whatsoever. They're always rotten on the back line. They should not be giving 15.5 to anybody. And Sydney's got a pretty good squad. The Swans are one of those teams. The first year we had them, they were very young and they were not very good. But over the last couple of years, they're young guys. We talked about it the first week here. I don't know what the deal is with Aussie Rules football. I tend to think it's that for whatever reason you peak in that sport when you're like, it's like tennis. You actually peak when you're like 22 years old. And once you hit 25, you're way over the hill. But no, we like Sydney a ton here. Getting 15.5. And then in the other game, we got Adelaide and Hawthorn. Adelaide 23.5 to Hawthorn. Hawthorn is the worst team in the AFL, and they are the worst team in the AFL by a lot. Adelaide, pretty good. I don't know if I think they're really a cup contender, but I think they will be in the rounds at the end of the season here. So we're taking Adelaide and laying the 23.5. But focus in on that Sydney plus 15.5. That's the one we really like.
All right. So you might take a small parlay on
No.
Sydney and Adelaide. Naturally, that's how my mind is thinking. All right,
No.
Let me find a way to get 3-1 on this thing.
Let me give you a little tip, people. It's really actually easy. It's called varying your units. If you like a game a lot, you might as go as high as say 5 units. If it's my game of the year, my lock of the century, my mortgage special, then yeah, you might go as high as 5. If it just base is a 1 unit bet. If you like something a little more, vary the units. Don't mix in 9 other games with it. It's stupid.
Kind of like blackjack, right? I mean, you feel like things are going your way. You
Very
start
much
stepping
like
it up.
blackjack.
Sure,
When the shoot is rolling your way, you maybe add another
Press it,
chip,
yeah.
maybe two, maybe even go progressive and add a chip each time you win. That kind of thing. Very much like that. Or craps, That's
So you wouldn't be a fan of my, forehand parlay that I like to go in with 20?
with blackjack.
Yeah.
Actually, I am kind of a fan with that because you limited your losses. That's
Right. You're
that's
either
a
going to
different
lose
situation.
20
You made
or
a huge score,
yeah.
or you limit your losses. But that's a totally different thing. And again,
All right.
remember, odds in blackjack actually a little different.
Very much so. All right, Professor, that brings us to the moment that we're all awaiting here on these Degenerate Fridays. And
I
that
thought
is,
the Aussie Rules football discussion was the one we waited
that's
every
brilliant
week.
also because your analysis on Aussie Rules football is, as in-depth and it sounds, I mean, the
It
vernacular
is
is the
as
same.
in-depth as any Aussie Rules football handicapping show you will find in South Florida.
I've never seen one before.
Never
I
in
mean,
South Florida will you find more in-depth Aussie
those two guys in
football
suits,
discussions.
they do Aussie Rules or just soccer, those guys that are making a fortune
I think
out?
they just do soccer. The men's suits. I think they just do soccer. I've never heard anyone break down.
I thought
Aussie
our
rules.
soccer material was better than theirs too when we had them on the show.
I don't know.
Wait a
I
minute,
actually
let me-
kind of like those two guys. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
no, they're
lie.
good.
men's
Yeah,
are
but
great. Yeah, we had them on. They're great.
they were very good. Yeah, they got Budweiser sponsoring them because they swigged down a lot of Budweiser on their show. But I haven't seen an in-depth Aussie Rules football handicapping. Is there like a pro line? Is there a Stu Feiner of
I mean, there probably
Aussie
is in
Rules football?
Australia. I assume
Yeah.
that's what Crocodile
Right.
Dundee's doing these days.
Yeah, exactly. Right. They got some guy like Lee Pete, some old tired, burnt out Vegas TV announcer.
Right,
that
there's
he,
probably an Aussie guy who's a burnt out Aussie guy.
turns
assume
to
it's-
Chip Chirimbus and says,
I
"Chipper."
honestly, if you've ever watched this sport, I assume it's not ex-players because I assume the CTE rate in this
The
sport
brain
has to
dead.
Oh, yeah.
dwarf the NFL. I assume like every 30-year-old who played 10 years of Aussie Rules football is like full-on retarded at this point. Can't talk and just drools on himself. No insult to boxing because I love boxers, but you
Yeah.
remember like when Joe Frazier got older and couldn't
Oh, of
remember
course,
the English
yeah.
language anymore. Not that he was the most eloquent guy to begin with, but
No, I've often told the story. I had Joe Frazier come to the WIOD studios. I was working at night and in the evening, 6 to 10. What was it, 6 to 8? And so he comes down about 7 o'clock. And had he not brought his son Marvis with him, we would not have understood a word that he said. And then he
There you
sang, and it was like a Jim Neighbors thing where, he sounded like Gomer Pyle 1 second. And when he was singing, he was fine. So, that was a weird thing. But you would not have been able to understand a single word that Joe Frazier uttered. And then he got a little better later on, actually. But, at that particular time, I mean, whatever he was inflicted with in terms of brain damage, it was in full force and full bloom. All right, let's get to the big board, Professor. And what do you have for us this week?
well, we got a very interesting story this week with the sale of the Washington Commanders, who Dan Snyder is now claiming he has a new bid that is not for $6 billion, but for $7 billion.
Wow.
And that is coming from a very interesting source. Have you seen this story? Did you see who it is?
I have not seen it, no.
Who is making this bid? It is former Duke basketball player Brian Davis.
Wow.
Who, for those of you who do not remember Brian Davis,
I don't.
this was the guy who was on the Christian Laettner, Bobby Hurley teams, who supposedly was Christian Laettner's boyfriend. This was the guy who Christian Laettner made a bunch of comments in a Sports Illustrated interview that indicated they may or may not be a couple. What was particularly interesting about the timing of this week is Lubie had Sean Merriman on for an interview. And Sean Merriman was the first person to come out and call bullshit and say Brian Davis does not have $7 billion. Brian Davis does not have anything resembling $7 billion. In fact, Brian Davis owed me $3 million over a real estate product that went bust, and I had to take him to court to get my money back. And the judge found that Brian Davis was such a con man that he gave me $4 million, even though Brian Davis only owed me $3 million. That's what I think. Lubie was probably unaware of this. He didn't ask Sean Merriman about that.
I saw something like that, and I left it alone. But yeah.
But that brought us to an interesting topic this week,
All right.
because we've had a few of these in sports, and that is the big board of fake rich franchise owners.
Nice.
The Islander guys.
The Islander guy has to be number one.
Really, you guys are just jumping all over this before I even get rolling. The big board of fake rich franchise owners, and we'll just jump in right here. which is number 5, because there was a point in time before something happened, Defo, where it was much easier to be a fake rich franchise
Yes.
owner. And that takes us to number 5. And Bruce McNall of the LA Kings.
That's my
And
man.
it was
Yeah.
so much easier before the internet to be a fake rich guy. Like these days, honestly, you can figure out what somebody's net worth is on the. There are entire websites like celebritynetworth.com that are dedicated to establishing whether you are a rich guy or a fake rich guy. But before the internet, you didn't even have to have a good lie. You could be like Chris McNall and just say, oh, yeah, I have all these coins that I don't let anybody see. I keep them in a safe deposit box, but I'm very, very rich. I can afford a franchise. Banks gave this guy loans based on lists of coins that he pulled from auction books, from auctions he wasn't alive to attend back in the day. I just have these coins. Here are the auction books that prove, sir, let me loan you tens of millions of dollars to go buy your hockey franchise. And he took everybody in. He took his players in. Wayne Gretzky, he talked Wayne Gretzky into buying a Honus Wagner card that the previous owner had trimmed the edges off to create the greatest Honus Wagner card of all time. The previous owner had bought it for $25,000, had run it through a goddamn paper cutter, and now said it was worth $1 million because it was the most perfect Honus Wagner card anybody had ever seen in their entire life. This is the T206 Honus Wagner card, now known as the Gretzky card that we're talking about, that, of course, Bruce McNall talked Wayne Gretzky into going in partnership and to buy after they not only sold Bruce McNall to the LA Kings based on his bullshit, but let him trade for the greatest player in the history of the sport based entirely on his bullshit. And it was pretty much a rigged trade, too. It was pretty much the NHL just trying to get Wayne Gretzky the hell out of Edmonton because, 14 people live in Edmonton, and they didn't want Wayne Gretzky to be one of them anymore. And all you really needed to do to know Bruce McNall was full of shit was look at the businesses he was involved in and wanted to be involved in. Coin collecting, baseball card collecting. He tried to open an airline at some point. Oh, yeah, because the airlines only lose like $1 billion a year before government subsidies. It seems very reasonable that this guy would want to move in. He seems like a very astute businessman. He's buying hockey teams in LA and airlines based on his fake-ass coin collection. Honestly, I got to give people I got to give modern day scammers credit because it was really fucking easy to be a con man before the invention of the internet, as proved by one Bruce McNall of the LA Kings.
I did have a check from Bruce McNall that was cashable for 5 dimes when he was buying advertising on our horse racing radio show. Because he was also involved in thoroughbred racing before he owned the Kings. He owned a thing called Suma Stables, which had some pretty pricey racehorses that he obviously had scammed people into thinking he had the wherewithal to own. But we knew him as a charming guy. It was surprising when he ended up doing time because we thought he was a real gentleman.
When he went doing time. But even less surprising is that Defo thought he was a really top quality.
No, I mean, to us, he was great. I mean, we thought he was a prince.
Is he the one who brought you in on that payphones investment after cell phones?
No. He was already incarcerated by then, I believe.
Well, I'm surprised. I honestly I'm shocked he didn't call you and be like, "Hey, Defo, these payphones at the prison, that is a great investment."
How much investigating into ownership does the NHL actually do? I mean, there's a lot of scrutiny, it seems like, in other
that
other
brings
leagues.
Us to number 4, which you guys have already mentioned, which is fake rich guy
This
John
is only
Spano.
number 4? Wow.
And he's proof that it is much easier to be a fake rich guy when nobody gives a shit about the team you're buying.
Or the sport.
Let's remember the New York Islanders, by this point, were like 20 years past their dynasty phase, the 3 in a row back in the late 70s, early 80s. By this point, the New York Islanders, all anybody did was make fun of them for their logo that looked like the Gorton's Fisherman. So John Spano bought the team. Again, not even a particularly effective liar. Claimed he was worth $50 million. They investigated his company and found out his company was only worth $3 million. Claimed he had 5 employees. He had 22 employees. Claimed he had a inherited net worth that took him into 8 figures. Found out his inherited net worth was only $5 million. And they found all this out when the first 4 checks he issued to the previous owner bounced. Here's my question with this. I don't know what the number is, but how many bounce checks in a row do you have to get before you realize The guy is just totally.
You could work for Steve Lappa at the old radio station we were at, 640.
I mean, I get it if you let one bounce check slide. Shit happens. The credit card bill cashes a little earlier than you expected, or the mortgage payment gets taken out of your account a day earlier than it normally does because it was a bank holiday weekend or whatever. Those things happen. 2 bounce checks, I think you got to have 1 foot out the door at the second bounce check.
Yeah.
The third bounce check, I
Starts
think you
to
got
be
to
an
pretty
ugly
much
pattern.
say, yeah, you're full of shit. Like, I mean, come on.
Fourth one, we're sending Vito after the guy. Yeah.
Like, how many bounce checks do you got to have before you start to suspect, yeah, maybe this guy's a little full of shit?
Yeah, I didn't realize he had any wherewithal whatsoever. I thought the
broke.
story
I
was
didn't
he
see
didn't even own the shirt on his back. Like, they took
Well,
that.
by the time he went to prison for massive tax fraud, obviously he didn't have any of it left. But originally, when all of this started, the estimate was that he was worth about $5 million.
All right, so you have 2 NHL owners that somehow scammed their way into ownership and control of a team without
Neither of whom
dime.
were worth a dime.
All right, so this is interesting because I would have had Spano at number 1. Where do we go from here? Number 3 on the big board.
Number 3, and I'm not trying to say anything about these man's actual finances. I don't have any evidence of this yet, but I will say, if I'm a billionaire and I'm feeling a little randy, I'm not going to going to a strip mall to get jerked off by fat Chinese women for $50. That seems like maybe an indication to me that you're maybe not quite as wealthy.
It's amazing you could work craft into this thing. Yeah.
Billions and billions as what Bob Kraft is. But when you're horny, you're letting fat Chinese sex slave workers jerk you off for $50.
It's like
That
James
does
Conn
seem
and the
a little
Gambler.
suspicious.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you can actually afford caviar and Kobe beef, you're not going out for Hamburger Helper very often.
Well, it was an odd place to find a man of his obvious wealth, or supposed wealth.
Right. It's a little suspicious, right?
Yeah.
You got to kind of question what's going on there. The combination of horny billionaire and fat, ugly rub and tug girls.
He's about to get on his private jet and fly to the Patriots playoff game or whatever it was. I mean, you couldn't have taken care of business there with a couple of $5,000 hookers. What are you talking about?
This is who would have kept their mouth shut.
Yeah,
by
right.
the way. Like you, again,
and been very pleasant. Yeah.
Allegedly, you're worth somewhere between $6 and $10 billion. I'm just saying, you don't have to eat a Jack in the Box in that situation.
No Skyline chili for you.
Yeah. I'm just saying. If I were that level of billionaire, this is one area of my life where I don't think I'd be trying to pinch pennies. I wouldn't skimp on this particular area for a number of reasons, including I feel like if you're a billionaire, the odds of you getting ratted out by the Chinese rub and tug sex slave girl, much more likely than the $10,000 a night escort. That seems to me like you're engaging some behavior that is questionable given your level of income.
Imagine the cops that are sitting outside there staking this place out for, other sordid reasons. But and they see this guy coming out and they go, wait a minute, man. That's that guy with the blue shirt with the white collar, man. That's Bobby Kraft. Are you kidding? They had to just about fall out of the car, no?
And again, they probably have the same suspicion I do. What the hell is a billionaire doing here under this situation?
Getting a $40 blowjob at some Asian
Warren
spa.
Buffett lives very simply. He is arguably the richest man in the world. He lives very simply. But I'm guaranteed there are certain parts of his life where he doesn't go frugal.
Honestly, I think if Warren Buffett engages in this kind of behavior, and I'm not accusing him of engaging in this behavior, I think Warren Buffett, the man who famously has like a sausage McMuffin for breakfast every day, probably, goes through the list of porn stars and we'll fly her in on my private jet and pay her $25,000. I don't think he's going to the $50 rub and tug. Again, there are certain areas in life where I don't have a problem with you being a skin. Look, some people really enjoy an egg McMuffin for breakfast. I'm sorry. you can do better than this for this particular activity.
Some kind
And
of
you
weird,
should. This is one area where you should not be afraid to spend if you're a billionaire.
some weird idiosyncratic sexual kink that you get a thrill out of going into some cheesy joint and getting your rocks off.
Again,
So pay a lot to pretend.
Drake loses his $300,000 parlay. I guarantee he is not going to party at the Chinese massage $50 hand job place.
It's not going to the Atlantic City boardwalk,
Right.
or maybe we're walking to Bourbon Street and getting a massage.
No.
All right, that's number 3. Bobby Kraft making the list here of unexpected, impoverished and broke owners.
Owners. Yeah.
All right. Number 2, and this is where we started this one off, and that is Brian Davis and his buddy Christian Laettner, who I'm not trying to say something, but does it look odd that you're sitting there with a cat on a roof that you're doing work on? It kind of does look like a couple that's building their dream B&B in Vermont.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying, not trying to reaffirm this rumor 30 years later, but the picture looks a little bit odd. Anyway, Brian Davis and Christian Laettner, these two, of course, were Duke teammates. Christian Laettner went on to a semi-successful professional career, and Brian Davis went on to absolutely no career, at least in the sport of basketball afterwards. Now, claiming that he has a $7 billion offer for Dan Snyder for the team. It's worth noting that Brian Davis and Christian Laettner, on a construction project in the late 2000s, defaulted to both banks and investors and had to pay back over $140 million. Christian Laettner and that company, of course, filed bankruptcy. Brian Davis, as part of an interview for this Washington Redskins team, claims he owns $50 billion in patents, which would make him the 6th richest man in the United States. The patents are related to a smart city and green energy that he has engineered and designed. He does not have an engineering degree, and there is no indication that any company he's ever been part of engaged in the green energy business. But the more interesting side note to this story is when asked about it, because there was a suspicion, Brian David answered, hold on, let me find the quote here. No, this isn't any Saudi Arabian money. No, this is all American money. I do want to say I have a high amount of respect for the Saudi Arabian people, though, but there is no Saudi Arabian money involved in this investment. Really, Brian? I feel like all you had to do to end that statement was to say Allahu Akbar. Like, very clearly, this is Saudi Arabian money. You might as well have just admitted where this $7 billion was supposedly coming from.
So they're going to change the name of the Commanders once again, because that's a lousy name for a team, to the Sheiks.
Oh,
that'd be beautiful.
All that's
the Washington Sheiks.
All that's mentioned, all that needs mentioning is Greg Norman to come up and say, well, Brian Davis made some mistakes when talking about where this money comes from. And we all make mistakes, so maybe we should just forgive and move on.
All right, that only makes number 2. And we know how you feel about Christian Laettner and anybody who played for Duke, including Davis. And it's interesting that Snyder would be entertaining a bid that was $1 billion higher than the previous offer was rumored to be.
Again, most people actually, it's worth noting this story. Most people actually think that Dan Snyder, just like everybody else, knows this Brian Davis offer is a complete pile of bullshit. Davis and Laettner have actually tried to purchase teams in the past. They tried to purchase the Memphis Grizzlies about a decade ago, and their offer defaulted when banks wouldn't give them any loans on the franchise. Most people think Snyder is just using this alleged offer in order to drive the price up from the real buyer. It's kind of just a fake story. It's just entertaining that Brian Davis is in the middle of it. And an interesting coincidence that Sean Merriman was on with Lubie when Sean Merriman was the first one who came out and said, oh, that's bullshit. That guy doesn't have anything close to $7 billion. I'm not sure that guy has $7.
What did Lubie ask him about? His new book?
He owns an MMA league. So I haven't gone to promote. They have a fight coming up in a couple weeks.
Very nice. All right. That's number 2 on the list. Top story on the
number
big
1.
board.
We're going a little bit outside because technically he isn't an owner, but with the local twist, we couldn't help it. And that is, of course, fake billionaire John Ruiz, who was going to make $1 billion off his IPO stock that he had to buy back his own shares to keep his new company from being delisted from NASDAQ within the first year of the offering of his company. And who, let's just say, recruiting in NIL at Miami doesn't seem to be going well that well this season, as quarterback Van Dyke is already talking about transferring, in part because he hasn't been paid the NIL money he's owed. So always has a South Florida twist, usually has a South Florida Medicare fraud twist involved. Our number one fake billionaire owner is John Ruiz, the de facto owner of the University of Miami's athletic program. And it is worth noting that the crown jewel in his empire, the Twins, did leave the University of Miami and did sign with the WWE this week, which we have an inside source on this. We're not going to rename name, but I was told aren't going to make anywhere near the money that supposedly they were making for John Ruiz. Vince ain't coming a couple $1 million out of pocket for the basketball girls.
Where's Nevin Shapiro when you need him, man? Is he out yet?
Exactly.
Is Nevin out?
Honestly, doesn't the University of Miami have a unique talent for this? Like,
it is amazing how much bogus stuff goes on here in town. We were talking about it earlier.
A billionaire.
Yeah.
Pretty much anytime there is a big money person who wants to put money into the University of Miami's athletic department, it's not going to turn out well. It's going to go bad. Whether it's Uncle Luke taking the boys to the strip club and then bringing all the girls from his videos for wild ass parties back in the day, whether it's Nevin Shapiro, all the way down the line to John Ruiz. Pretty much, look, and I'm a Canes fan. I want them, but if somebody, some random rich guy is wanting to put money into the University of Miami's athletic department, you should probably cast a wary eye because it's just not going to turn out well. One way, again, it could be Warren Buffett. If Warren Buffett all of a sudden wanted to give money to University of Miami's football program, I would be okay. We need to sell our Berkshire Hathaway. Like something's about to go very, very wrong here.
Excellent as always, the professor with another innovative version of the professor's big board. Outstanding job again this week. And we wish you the best of luck with the Australian Rules football plays.
Damn right.
We're talking about well wishes. He's not big on this day, so we bring it at the end. We're not going to have a song or anything.
It's okay. We don't need to do that.
I do want to wish him a happy birthday.
Oh, today, birthday?
Because he's not that guy.
All right.
12 years, never have celebrated this day, so waited to the end. But I do want to say happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Professor.
You guys have a great one.
All right. Sounds good. The professor, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, he's not
very humble about that birthday thing.
Do the Stevie Wonder and the whole thing because it would just.
Should we take him to the Foundry and hope he picks up the check? For Mayo?
Take him to his own place.
Take him to his own restaurant.
That would be the greatest move ever. Happy birthday! Let's go to your restaurant
and eat on your tab. That's what we're all about. Speaking of which, we have the Gambling Gourmet coming up. He's going to join us today. That's very good because. What was he saying? He spent $175 on a bottle of wine last night? Wow, that'll fatten up the check. Has he already settled his case with his flooding at his house? Is that, I mean, this guy's making more money off insurance than who's the guy that the guy that's always Mayhem. That's it. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh, the
yeah, I mean, he is to the insurance company what Mayhem is to those commercials. I mean, just stirring it up, right? He just got a fat check, but it's going to go fast if he keeps doing this, right? $1.75 bottle of wine.
100%.
I'm thinking he probably popped for the check, right? Because it was Joe's birthday, and he's got to pick up Bonnie's check. Yeah.
Yep. He doesn't have to pick up Bonnie's check, but he.
Well, you noticed who wasn't invited to this thing? You and me.
Oh no, there's no way.
That was never mentioned, right? It was like all of a sudden, oh yeah, by the way, I'll be going to Runway 84 tonight, celebrate a birthday. A party of 3, an odd number. No?
Exactly.
What does he think? He was going to Pumpernicks, so he was going to get in there, a lot easier with 3 people? Then he tries to justify it by saying he's not a fan of big parties, as if, our presence there would have changed the dynamic so badly, right?
40.
Well, they only bring you 4 clams on the Clam Casino.
Enjoy your clams.
So get 2 orders. All right. You're paying. All right, we're coming back. The Gambling Gourmet going to join us here in a moment. And then we'll be out later on today. It's always great on these Fridays at Gulfstream Park. And Joe Beja and company usually take really, really good care of us out there. We do have that thing coming up where we're going to be doing the Sunday brunch.
Yes, a
at
week
10
from this
pounds.
Sunday.
It's a week from Sunday. Wow, it's right around the corner. So that's going to be exciting. Get to meet
It's gonna be a blast.
some of the people there that will watch the Mike Mayo Lunchbox show and this one as well. So that'll be very, very cool. We're looking forward to that, and we'll give you more details later on today. Back with more in a moment. Now that Mayo ought to be zeroing in on his Derby picks too. It's 8:42. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in Style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet. And a lot of people like to bet soccer. You are looking at the Euro.
I'm a soccer fan. I spent part of my junior year abroad at the London School of Economics and Political Science. How I ended up...
It's a little sophisticated for people that are on our show.
To be on
the School of Economics.
My career has taken strange...
Yes.
And mainly downward turns, but it's okay. I'm very
You can live with it. Just be who you are.
I am living my best life.
Burying yourself with this show.
Betting my worst bets.
Buenos dias. The cafecito is piping hot. Why not enjoy it with Defo and Lubie? It's now time for the Defo Show.
And now a card-carrying member of the Broadcasters School of Economics, Mike Mayo, joins us here on the program because what do we want, Louis? We want everything for free. And he probably did it again last night. Runway 84. It seems like you eat there as often as some people would eat at like IHOP. You're in there like every week, Mike Mayo. How are you? And how was the dinner?
The dinner was fantastic. The place is very impressive. This was my third time there. This was, I started off just a solo dining at the bar a couple of, I guess, weeks or maybe a month after it first, opened again after its renovation. We're talking about Anthony's Runway 84, our friend Anthony Bruno, and now his new partner, Mark Falsetto, and then his old partner, Pat Marzano. It's a raucous party in there. Every night is New Year's Eve. It's incredible to me how, they're going, every night is slammed, and yet the execution of the food that comes out of that kitchen is top notch every time. Every component almost flawless.
So it's more popular than ever, you would say?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And, look, it's a novelty at this point.
Okay.
People who haven't been there in years or decades are coming back to check it out. Because, and in the case of Bonnie last night, my friend Bonnie DePacio, and was there celebrating Joe Cassell's 65th birthday.
Tasso? Was Tasso involved?
No, we kept Tasso at home.
Couldn't bring the dog to Runway 84?
And if it sounds like I'm buttering them up to get
man.
Sponsorship again,
it's ridiculous, yeah.
Okay. But I just want to set the record straight on one thing, though. I did not text all the owners, just Mark Falsetto this time. And I have a receipt.
Yeah.
I took a picture of my receipt, okay? I spent big coin last night. I am not a professional schnorrer and schlepper. Yes, for the lunchbox, we will go in, and part of the deal of broadcasting from a restaurant is we want some lunch.
No, we're not mocking you for that.
Our motto in broadcasting was always, if it's not catered, it's not journalism.
We're not mocking you for that. We're mocking you for every time you go to a restaurant that you know an owner, every time you text days before to just let them know you can't wait to see them. You're looking forward to hopefully seeing them.
I like that personal touch, and it's good to be the king. Let's face it.
Really taking advantage. Raping the public over this Let's Eat South Florida.
I have a receipt. I'm going to send to you or afterwards. Like that proves, that I paid full freight.
We'll take your word for it. I mean, we're not that bad. I mean,
and I looked over this receipt because I want to say, did they throw out a lot of freebies? Okay, so our table, we made a reservation for 7:00. Bonnie and I got there early because I picked her up and I brought her down there. We had a drink in this little lounge area that's very nice. Yep. And Joe was coming down from Del Rey, and he got there about 10 to 7. We had a 7:00 reservation.
What would they whack you for in the cocktail?
I'm not. Well, it was like about. Let's see. Bonnie had a Manhattan. I had a Belvedere Martini. Okay. And when all was said and done, I handed the lovely cocktail waitress a $50 bill, and that covered it. It was like 40. It was 20, like 20 for each cocktail, and
so it was airport pricing, I guess.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But the bottom line was then, our table that they had reserved for us was running a little bit behind the other. They had a earlier 5 o'clock
the clock on those people.
You know what? And we were in such a good mood. I was like, no problem. And next thing you know, it's 7:15, and the general manager, Joe Alfano, is coming up to me, apologetic, saying, hey, they're still paying. They're wrapping up. They're paying the check now. Let me get you a cocktail. So he comped me another cocktail, which was, nice. And
did you grease him this time? Joe, took care of him?
The GM?
Yeah.
No, I didn't grease him.
I thought this was a major D. I thought this was a major D.
No, Vincenzo was there, and again, now the whole system there has changed. It's like they have it, all in this computerized system.
Streamlined,
yeah. Right? So Vincenzo is still there and meeting and greeting people and schmoozing, but he's not controlling the gates to the kingdom like he I guess used to. But anyway, the vibe in there is great. I looked over the list, and again, everything that we ordered was on there, with the exception, and including the desserts, and it was a birthday for Joe, so I'm not complaining about that. That's what I want. And then I noticed that they did comp us one appetizer, the carpaccio, which is absolutely fantastic. Oh, yeah, nice. So, I think getting out of there with one comp drink for having a table that was a little behind schedule and one comped appetizer, I don't think that's...
By Mayo standard, that's paying full freight. Actually.
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, considering you're such a frequent customer, a comp drink and an appetizer is not outrageous.
I would think for a lot of guests they do that, sure, the same way that Joe Esposito at Cafe Seville runs around. He comps the appetizer and a drink for
garlic shrimp on me.
Yeah. Tres leches cake over there, and
coffee and dessert on me. He always says that. Yeah.
What happened with his horse?
Well, his horse, Sally Seville, was in the maiden claiming ranks and is still in the maiden claiming ranks. She rallied to finish 4th. It was kind of an interesting race because showed a little bit of early speed and then faded. And I thought she was going to end up fading bad, but she re-rallied at the end to hit the superfecta. So all is not lost. It's been an interesting, she had some physical setbacks.
It's a tough racket,
turning
though,
2 to 3.
Horse ownership.
Yeah, it is a tough racket. Yeah.
Be prepared, to turn a large fortune into a small fortune.
That is true. And look, we are going to be out at Gulfstream today. I have my restaurant questions and the restaurant.
You got another place now. Is this another closed place? Because you've been majoring in those places.
One that is still operating. A Fort Lauderdale restaurant that is still in operation, but it is an oldie and a goodie.
And what's the response to the Sunday thing that we're doing a week from Sunday at 10 pounds?
So far,
got 2 people sign up.
Look, we got a couple of extra, it's a couple of people that said they're going to be in, and then also one of the contest winners, besides bringing their +1 for the contest, is bringing another +1. Like they're going to pay their own way for one other person. So we're going to have a nice little crowd out there.
Nice. And you have that woman that lost that you're paying for. Oh, you forgot about that?
Right, no, but Joe's picking that one up.
Oh, okay, yeah, Joe. That's right, because you mentioned it to Joe.
You brought it on.
You brought it up on air, like, "Hey, Joe, by the way, I'm paying," and you had this look on your face, like, "My God, how much suffering can one man undertake and endure?" And he said, "Okay, don't worry about it, Mayo. I'll pick it up." That was good.
Well, because there's still like 4 people out there who have won, who have not come back and claimed their prizes or given me a date. And so, because of those unclaimed ones, he was able to fit in one of the. When we had that was impressive. They had the exact and the Florida Derby. There was only 2 people in the hat, and he was gracious enough to get Blanche Millions in there. So that was
that's good.
That was good. And now it is too early to talk about Derby picks. You got to.
Did I give you the Polyman's picks? I think I did. What do you think?
I
about
heard it, and
verifying?
This makes
verifying.
I like verify. I like Brad Cox's barn. I like obviously Todd Pletcher's barn. I mean, I'm not. I like Forte. I mean, I think the horse has done nothing wrong, and he proved himself last time that even when he's in deep waters, he finds a way to win, which is usually the mark of a champion horse. I also like King's Barnes a lot. I'm not as thrilled at Tappet Trice as everybody else is. So that's the Pletcher horse I'm probably going to throw out first.
How about Angel of Empire?
Angel of Empire is a nice horse also, I think, from the Brad Cox things. But what I was going to chide you for is, like, nobody can discuss handicapping the Derby or coming up with Derby selections until the post positions are drawn, okay? Because in a 20-horse
you might have some idea. Yeah, I mean, obviously, maybe your pick becomes a little more tepid if the horse draws like the 19 hole, but or the 1, I guess, is even more dreaded than any.
You don't want the 1. The 1 is the kiss of death. 17, 18, since they've reconfigured the auxiliary
and limited it to 20.
It's not as crazy as it used to be. You still don't love being in the 19 or 20 hole.
You want to be right there in the 5 post, right in the middle there.
Yeah. 5, 7, your numbers. 7, 5 is always good.
I always play
11s,
it every Derby. I have to have at least a $2 box.
14. So let's see. I mean, I'm high on Forte. I'm probably going to use him as my key horse. And if I get any more than 2 to 1 on him, I'm going to say, look, you're never going to see this horse at more than even money at the rest of his career.
8 to 5 post time for the Derby. Forte.
You think Forte? Okay.
Maybe less. Maybe less. I mean, people, have been very impressed. The race in the Florida Derby, with all of the different things that he had to overcome there, wide trip and all of that, and it looked like he was finished. I saw the stretch run again the other day. It looked completely, finished.
But he's dead.
Yeah.
No, and that's the mark of a champion. Now, did it take a lot out of him? He's got 5 weeks to rebound. I don't know. I mean, I like the horse. I think he's a super horse. He looks like an unbelievable specimen anytime you see him in the flesh. And so, we will see. The post position draw will be, we're still 2 weeks out from the Derby, 2 weeks from tomorrow. And we'll just wait and see for the draw. But I do like both Forte and King's Barnes from the Lucas Barnes.
Right.
From the Lucas Barn, the Pletcher Barn, and then we'll see what happens.
It's a place to make a score. I mean, if you come up with the right formula, look, simple back wheel of the favorite last year got you $2,000 on $1 exacta.
No, and even if you love a heavy favorite in the Derby, if you are able to somehow crush the trifecta, you're still going to make money, because you could key on a couple of 30 to 1 shots.
It's one event I'm ahead lifetime in, the Kentucky Derby. We've had a couple of big tickets over the years. Which
probably about even. I had one good year when I was in New Orleans for Jazz Fest. This was like one of the greatest days of my life where, you're there enjoying the music and the good food and just blitzed out of your mind in the infield of the Fairgrounds racetrack, which is where they stage Jazz Fest in New Orleans every year. And they also have a bank of windows open for taking all the bets on Derby Day at Churchill Downs. So it was a day where I was out there for Jazz Fest, stumbled over to the windows and keyed a Jerry Bailey horse. I think it was Tejano Run, and he ended up finishing second or whatever. But I had the 3 other horses that finished first and third, and I did these kind of keys with the Bailey horse. And all I know is I think it was one of my specials where I turned $18 into $2,400.
Nice.
And then dinner was on me at Pascal's Manale, barbecue shrimp and oysters.
Might have been enough to cover the Runway 84 happenings last night.
And you know what? Yeah. I'm going back again. I already made my next reservation because baby mama Michelle, Mother's Day, it's a tradition. I let her choose a place of where she wants to go for.
Oh, man, you're really trying to get on her good side now. You better make some calls. Yeah, she's going to bury you over there. I mean,
she's in. Yeah. Well, no, I gave her a choice because Natalia, my daughter, and Michelle, every year the 3 of us go out for Mother's Day. Last year we went to the buffet, the brunch buffet at Hard Rock. You
were on injured reserve though until recently.
No, I'm
This one
fine.
might have been
Oh,
a
yeah.
loaf, yeah.
But this, I gave her a choice. I said we could either go back to Curro, we could go to Tropical Acres because they're open on Sundays, and she's a big fan of Tropical Acres, or we could go to Runway 84. She chose Runway 84, and I'm already in the books. I got my reservation on the early side, 5:30 on a Sunday
Perfect,
night.
man.
But
Because you want to be done with that early. Yeah, you really do.
Which one did you ask, Mark or Anthony?
Mark. Well, Mark was there early, and Mark kind of handles. He's the young one that kind of handles everything.
There's your
now.
comp, yeah.
Bruno
They have an app. Like, can't you just go online? Like, how do other people? Isn't that how most people get the reservation? Like, I feel like you don't have to go to the owner.
They go to the Resi app. Okay, the Resi app is kind of like Open Table, but it's Resi, RESY.
But it doesn't work on your phone. The app doesn't work on your phone.
All right, don't bust my balls. All right, here it is. It's Mother's Day. If you go on the Resi app, you'll find that they're completely sold out on Mother's Day. But if you go to Mark Falsetto's
straight to the owner
version of the Resi app, he actually pulled up the app, but he has the secret chambers that has, I guess, some tables.
He owns
in
the place,
reserve.
Mayo. He owns the fucking place. What are you talking
And then
about?
he says, "Here's what I got on Mother's Day," and he shows like 5:15, 5:30, 5:45, 6, for 3. So no, I picked the 5:30. We're gonna get it.
It's your new thing, traveling parties of 3. I mean, it worked. It worked at Pumpernicks, and it works for you now. All right, we got to run. We're going to see you at the track, are we not, Mike Mayo? You'll be out there later on?
Yeah, I'll be out there at 11. Yeah, we're going to do the lunchbox from 12 to 1. I'm surprised. This was the place, gentlemen, to grill me about the woman and the lunch. And you know that there were texts exchanged yesterday. And that
do that today.
We saw a very cozy.
No, we don't need to do that on the lunchbox. It's better here because
the people that were fascinated by this yesterday.
I know. We don't care
I mean,
about
after a series of shows, everybody was like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" All of a sudden, there was a new spark and interest in this program.
The point is to embarrass you there.
So it's good.
I don't care about that.
I will see you out there at Gulfstream Park. Have a racing form in hand, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet. He's on a bit of a roll, huh? Just blind date, and then the thing at Runway, and now with the X back involved on the scene there. Trying to at least take advantage of his good graces. The Mother's Day thing at Runway 84. That can't be a low level proposition. What do you think in terms of price?
No, and she drinks.
Oh,
she'll drink wine. Like, she likes wine. She'll drink wine with
that
me.
second bottle at 175 is a breaker for me. I mean, right? You see two prices, one. I mean, I know the Mustang's going for a second, sometimes a third bottle, depending on the number of people.
You guys with bottles of wine, like, I don't. It's a lot.
$1.75 though. I mean, you get that second bottle, you're at $3.50 on the wine alone for 3 people. That's a little crazy.
That's a lot.
All right. We will see you guys later. 12 o'clock, Gulfstream Park. Looking forward to that. Going to be a bright, sunshiny day. Hope you guys had a lot of fun. Degenerate Friday, or thanks to the Greek professor, Mike Mayo, for joining us here on the program. We will see you again 12 o'clock today with Mike on the lunchbox, and then again Monday morning after, what do you think, Lubie? Are both series 2-2? By the time, I guess one of the games is Monday night, right? One's Sunday and one's Monday. The fourth game of the series.
Will the Heat not play twice this weekend? The Heat.
I think the Heat might be, tomorrow and Monday. Is that it? No, knowing the NBA, they're tomorrow and a week from Saturday.
Oh, they play tomorrow and they play Monday.
Okay, so they're actually going to play, 2 games in 3 nights. But and the Panthers are tonight and then Sunday, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What do you think? Panthers will be 2-2 by Monday.
Yes, and I think it may be up 2-1. I think if they do, I think they should win one of the games at home, and you would think it'd be game 3. Like they because if they get down 2-1, they'll probably lose 3-1 and be down losing 5. So I say they win game 3. Monday they're up 2-1, and then they lose
game 4
Monday.
Right. And both teams lose game 5 on the road. That's how we see this going.
That's what I think.
We're such optimists here. I mean, all of our teams are fucked. We'll leave you with that. And we'll see you next time as we leave you on this Degenerate Friday. Now that.
The time.
Oh, and the Marlins are still going strong, right? To take on the Cleveland Guardians, which I can't get used to that name. Can you?
No, I forget.
Also, did you see this too? Max Scherzer suspended 10 games, which is essentially 2 starts. In addition to getting kicked out of that last Mets-Dodgers game after 3 innings because of Sticky fingers, Lubie. Sticky fingers. They took him off on the side, and they said, "Hey." They shook his hand. It was like he was, opening up a tube of Flex Seal and putting it on the baseball. That's how bad it was, according to the umpires. Suspended for 10 games. So the Mets continuing to incur all kinds of bizarre problems. Kind of crazy stuff. And then, as the professor said, be careful with your parlays out there. I have a tendency to always want to fuck things up with a parlay.
You do.
Yeah, always. And I think the last one I hit was when my son was 8 years old. We hit that 5-team baseball parlay at the Princess Casino in Freeport. And I came in and they printed a ticket. It looked like an accordion. I mean, I opened it up, and, just to cover these 5 games. It was when the sportsbook first, came on the scene there in the Bahamas at the Princess Casino. You were too young to remember this, but it was a big development here because you could fly over there, and it was great because you could tell all the guys that had busted out with their bookmaker, they were all over there betting because they couldn't get any credit with their bookies over here. So the plane had nothing but sick degenerates on it both ways. It took off sort of like, late in the afternoon and brought you back that same night, like at midnight after the games were completed. And that was it. You only went there to bet games because you couldn't book them here. This was before, sports apps and all of this other stuff made it possible for everybody to wager on anything. And it was great. And I had a 5-team parlay. I don't know what I made on it. It wasn't much. I gave it to my son. He was like 8 at the time. He picked all the teams. We needed the Angels in the last game of the parlay to win. They had a knuckleballer going, and he shut out whoever they played like 4-0. I never had so much fun watching a baseball game. And then we went over and cashed right away. It was fantastic. 5 teams. In general, it's been just a nightmare, right? A 2-team parlay, tough to hit. Drake is betting 5-team parlays with the Bruins. Get out of here. Mixing hockey and MMA. I mean, like crazy shit they're all mixing. Tennis. Sabalenka, by the way, over Paula Badosa, man, a battle of the babes. And that was a quarterfinal match. They have like an indoor red clay tournament going in Stuttgart, Germany. And the men are battling it out in Barcelona and other parts of the world. It's a fantastic season for tennis. All right, so see you next time as we leave it at that. It's 9:04.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.